Okay, let's dive into one of the biggest, weirdest mysteries there is. We're talking about the connection between mathematics and, well, everything else, the physical universe. It's a link so deep and so strange, it makes you wonder what reality is actually made of.
Just think about it for a second. Math, right? It starts in our heads. It's just symbols and ideas, pure logic. It doesn't seem like it should have anything to do with the messy physical world out there. And yet, these abstract thoughts, these squiggles on a page, somehow manage to perfectly describe the dance of distant galaxies and the buzzing of the atoms inside of you. I mean, these are things that were around for billions of years before we ever showed up to write an equation. Now, here's the really wild part. The equations aren't just a pretty good guess. They're not just, close enough. The connection is way, way more precise than that. They predict things. They tell us about stuff we haven't even seen yet. I mean, we found planets, we predicted the existence of particles, all because the math said they had to be there. The math comes first, and reality just snaps into place. So this all leads us to the big question, the one we're here to explore. Is math just a super useful language we invented? Like a map we draw to help us get around? Or is reality itself, the territory? Is it fundamentally made of math? This puzzle isn't some new age idea. It actually has a famous name, a name given to it by a brilliant physicist who was totally baffled by this exact same thing. Back in 1960, Eugene Wigner called it the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. And his point was pretty simple, but it's so profound. He said there's just no logical reason why these abstract ideas from our minds should work so perfectly out there in the real world. It's kind of like a miracle that we've all just gotten used to. And check this out, this really drives the point home. Mathematicians came up with things like complex numbers and non-Euclidean geometry just for fun, really, as abstract puzzles. They had zero real-world application in mind. And then, decades, sometimes centuries later, physicists were like, wait a minute, this is it. This is the exact language we need to describe quantum mechanics and gravity. It's like nature was already using a textbook we hadn't even written yet. So how in the world do you explain that? Well, one big theory, it's called mathematical realism, has a pretty radical answer. It says we don't invent math at all. We find it. We discover it. And this gets us right to the heart of the debate, right? Is math discovered or is it invented? The discovered camp says that mathematical truths are out there. They exist completely independent of us, like a mountain range we're just now exploring. And if that's true, it means the universe isn't some physical stuff that just happens to follow math. It suggests the mathematical rules are the reality. And physicist Max Tegmark, he takes this idea all the way. His mathematical universe hypothesis doesn't say reality is just described by math. No, he says it is math, that physical existence and mathematical existence are the same thing. And we're just self-aware little patterns inside this giant mathematical structure. It's a mind-bending idea. Okay, so that's a seriously wild idea. But what's the other side of the coin? This brings us back to that other perspective, that math isn't the territory. It's just a really, really good map that we invented. Now, the argument here leans on something called survivorship bias. And the idea is actually pretty straightforward. We get all excited about the math that works perfectly, but we totally forget about the mountains and mountains of mathematical theories that didn't work. They were tried, they failed, they got thrown out. We're only looking at the winners, the survivors. So of course it looks like math is this perfect magical tool. But you know what? There is a third way to look at all this. A more modern take that might just sidestep the whole debate. It moves away from stuff versus math and towards something totally different, information. See, if you look at how physics has changed over time, there's a really clear pattern. We started with stuff we could kind of picture, like forces, pushing and pulling. Then we moved to more abstract things, like fields. And now fundamental physics is all about pure mathematical symmetries. With every step, we get further away from a reality we can touch and feel, and deeper into one that can only be described with math. And this leads to a really cool analogy. Maybe what we experience as physical reality, this chair, the planet, us, maybe that's just the user interface. It's the pretty icons on the screen. But underneath all of that, the actual operating system of the universe is pure math. Just a kind of cosmic computer code running everything. So where does that leave us? Discovered, invented, cosmic computer code? Maybe the real problem is that we're trying to force a choice that isn't really there. Maybe the question itself is the wrong way to look at it. Think of it this way.
Asking if math is separate from reality, that might be like asking if the rules of chess are separate from the game of chess. They aren't, right? The rules don't just describe the game, they are the game. You take away the rules, there's no game left. What if math and reality are tied together just like that?
And that's really the beautiful, mind-boggling mystery we're left with, isn't it? Is mathematics the actual fabric of existence that we're woven into? Or is it just the most powerful, most incredible lens that our minds could ever hope to build to try and make sense of it all? And in the end, maybe there's no difference between the two.
Because here's the one thing we know for sure. The universe, it doesn't seem to care one bit what we think about its equations. It doesn't care if we discovered them or invented them. But with this quiet, perfect, and relentless precision, it obeys them anyway. And that might just be the strangest thing of all.